Senate Environment, Energy, and Technology Committee. We are going to go with the public hearing first, and then we will move into executive session after a caucus. So staff, can we get a bill report for 6269?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Matt Shepard, Conning staff. Senate Bill 6269 relates to modernizing the definition of motor fuel in the Motor Fuel Quality Act. As background, the Washington State Department of Agriculture, or WSDA, samples, tests, and enforces liquid motor fuel standards under the Motor Fuel Quality Act. The Act defines motor fuel in part as any liquid product used for the generation of power in an internal combustion engine used for the propulsion of a motor vehicle on state highways. There is also a definition of alternative fuel, which includes a list of fuels other than conventional gasoline and diesel, including hydrogen and electricity, but the term is not used in other provisions of the Act. The bill before you amends the definition of motor fuel in the Act to include any gaseous product and electricity used for the propulsion of a motor vehicle upon state highways, or that is intended to be used for transportation purposes. It also removes the definition of alternative fuel. A fiscal note is available in the EBB with WSDA indicating no fiscal impact. That concludes my briefing. Thanks.
Excellent. I don't see any questions. This is a bill that I didn't know we would ever need to do. But it turns out that we have to say that hydrogen is a motor fuel so that the Department of Agriculture can tell us the weights and measures and figure out how to fairly sell it. So I will let the proponents speak more eloquently than me, but please vote yes. And with that, I will turn it over to Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Apologies for the delay there. I would like to call forward Stephanie Selt, or Kelt, apologies, Allison Halpern, and Kelsey Hulse. We have a 2-minute timer, or? Okay.
We'll use a 2-minute. We'll use the 2-minute timer.
And please proceed when you're ready. Thank you.
Okay, you did. Good morning, Chair Shoemake, Vice Chair Slatter, and Hunt. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. For the record, my name is Allison Halpern. I'm the Acting Assistant Director for the Plant Protection Division within the Washington State Department of Agriculture. We signed in as other, and we really appreciate this bill. The current definition of motor fuel in the Motor Fuel Quality Act is outdated, like really outdated, and it prevents our weights and measures program from testing newer and cleaner types of motor fuel. Updating the definition sections might seem like a really small act, but it does give our weights and measures program the authority to inspect and test the quality of gaseous motor fuels like hydrogen gas to ensure they meet the ASTM and other national standards. At this time, there would be no fiscal impact as our program can absorb the cost. Right now, we're looking at potentially inspecting the existing and near future hydrogen fueling stations that are offering hydrogen fuel for sale. And I am happy to take any questions.
I don't see any questions. Please proceed. Well, let me go next one.
All right. Good morning, Chair Shoemake and members of the committee. Thanks for the opportunity to testify. My name is Stephanie Selt. I am a Senior Energy Policy Specialist, and I lead the Office of Renewable Fuels at the Washington State Department of Commerce. Commerce has also signed in other today to provide technical context and clarify the likely impacts of the proposed statutory changes. So as you heard, the bill clarifies the Department of Agriculture's role in regulating hydrogen fueling stations for hydrogen, as well as other conventional and renewable fuels. For context, approximately $4 million in state appropriations and grants have been allocated to the Douglas PUD hydrogen project, and they opened the state's first public hydrogen fueling station in June 2025. The bill helps ensure that all hydrogen fueling stations in the state, including Douglas PUDs, have sufficient oversight to ensure safe and effective fueling. And also, we thought there might be some concerns about the implications of removing alternative fuel in the definitions. And so to be clear, I just wanted to offer that biodiesel, hydrogen, and other alternative fuels, as well as conventional gas and diesel, are all included under this proposed new definition of.
You know, in 1981, the legislature had a unique opportunity to purchase the
Fuels,
old mill.
Which was established by the legislature in 2022 and supports research, policy advances, and funding opportunities to support hydrogen, renewable fuels, alternative jet fuels, biodiesel, and others. And another example is the Clean Fuels Program, which is a state effort to provide incentives for using low carbon alternative fuels. So Senate Bill 6269 would better guide alternative fuel projects that draw on state funding, offering greater protections for the Department of Agriculture to regulate and validate quality. Thanks for your consideration and happy to answer questions.
Good morning, Chair Shoemake and members of the committee. My name is Kelsey Hulse, and I'm here this morning on behalf of Douglas County PUD in strong support of Senate Bill 6269. Douglas County PUD, as was already stated, is the proud owner of Washington's first publicly accessible hydrogen fueling station. As we have worked to bring that station online over the last year, we've worked closely with the Department of Agriculture Weights and Measures team to determine the best way to integrate this new type of infrastructure into Washington's existing regulatory framework. The bill before you is the first step in that process, seeking to clean up the definition of motor fuels, to remove redundant or outdated terms, and expand the definition to include both gaseous and liquid fuel types. Douglas County PUD is continuing to expand our hydrogen fueling infrastructure, including additional fueling stations and the state's first publicly owned green electrolytic hydrogen production facility. We appreciate the sponsor's attention and work on this issue and the collaboration of the Clean Fuels team at the Department of Commerce and the Weights and Measures team at the Department of Agriculture. Delivering on the promises of Washington's clean fuel standard will be a team effort, and we're committed to playing our part. We would appreciate your support of Senate Bill 6269. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. We don't see any questions, and it sort of occurs to me that maybe we need to, at some point, in the definition of, or the title, motor fuel quality. We have such a broad range of fuels. Thank you all for testifying. Madam Chair, that's the final testifiers for this bill, and 11 chose not to testify, pro 9, con 2, others 0.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And that concludes the hearing for 6269. And we will move to 6223. Staff, may we please have a briefing?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Kim Cushing, staff to the committee. Before you is Senate Bill 6223, an act relating to authorizing community-scaled weatherization projects. For brief background, the Department of Commerce administers the Low-Income Weatherization Program. The program distributes grant funding to project sponsors to provide low-income households with weatherization services, and this includes home energy efficiency improvements, repairs, indoor air quality measures, and health and safety improvements. Sponsors of weatherization projects include local community action agencies, tribal nations, and local governments. The bill before you adds community-scaled projects as eligible project types for funding from the Low-Income Weatherization Program. It defines a community-scaled project as a weatherization project that includes multiple dwelling units in the same neighborhood or area where overlapping factors such as environmental, social, or economic conditions may adversely impact residents, as determined by the Department of Commerce. It directs Commerce when selecting community-scaled projects to prioritize projects that serve low-income households, and it authorizes Commerce to adopt rules to implement the program. There is a fiscal note. The funds come from the capital budget, and it assumes approximately $285,000 for the 25-26 biennium, $125,000 for the following 2 bienniums. And this is for complex rulemaking and to administer assuming administration of 26 contracts. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for that. Senator Hunt, tell us about your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm really excited that the committee is able to hear about weatherization because I see weatherization as a win-win. It saves folks money. It also is good for the environment, increases community resilience, and it reduces the strain on our electrical grid, and something we can do right away to deliver on all of those benefits for our communities. So this bill would expand the kinds of projects that are eligible for this existing grant program, and it would also expand access to projects that are in rural areas, mobile home parks, a lot of different kinds of projects that would really need this kind of weatherization. And so we'll be able to make sure that we're addressing more of that need through this bill. I also wanted to thank Senator Harris for signing on the second signature and working with me on this, and I really appreciate the committee hearing the bill. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And I will turn it over to Madam Vice Chair to take the testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have 4 to testify, all remote. Could we please call up Linda Garcia, John Sang, Ellen Carbert, and Caitlin Kren? And when you hear my voice, just go ahead and unmute and go ahead. Linda, if you can hear me.
I can, thank you. Good morning, Chair Shoemake and members of the committee. I'm Linda Garcia, Policy Director at Washington State Community Action Partnership, testifying in strong support of SB 6223 today. This bill creates a practical pathway to scale weatherization projects while improving health, safety, and stability for households across Washington, allowing this work to happen at the scale the need demands. At its heart, this bill is about people, about seniors trying to safely age in place, families with young children living in older homes, and households facing overlapping environmental, economic, and housing challenges that make even basic stability harder to maintain. Weatherization is not just an energy efficiency tool. It is a health intervention, a safety intervention. It is often the difference between a home that slowly deteriorates and one that remains stable, livable, and safe over time. This bill recognizes that these challenges are not evenly distributed. They are often concentrated in specific neighborhoods and communities. By allowing weatherization to happen at a community scale while maintaining strong oversight, data-driven prioritization, and existing consumer protections, it allows us to respond to real conditions on the ground more effectively and more responsibly. This is not an overhaul. It is a thoughtful evolution of a program that already works, one that allows limited resources to go further, prevents future harm, and strengthens entire communities rather than addressing need one home at a time. At a time when too many families are forced to choose between comfort, health, and affordability, this bill affirms one simple truth. People do deserve to live in homes that are safe, healthy, and stable, and our policies should absolutely rise to meet that responsibility. Thank you so much, Senator Hunt, for working with us on this, and we strongly urge support from the entire committee for this bill.
Thank you so much. John Sang.
Chair Shoemake, Vice Chairs Hunt and Slatter, and Ranking Member Benke, thank you for the opportunity to comment on Senate Bill 6223 today. I'm here on behalf of Spark Northwest in support of this bill. Spark Northwest is a regional nonprofit that partners with immigrant, low-wealth, rural, and indigenous communities to co-create clean energy projects. Some of our projects include heat pumps, residential solar, and weatherization. And many of our partners are interested in weatherization because they want to cut their energy bills and keep their families safe and healthy through all sorts of weather. At the state level, weatherization is a great way to cut energy spending and reduce grid strain. Washington's state energy strategy in 2021 called for weatherizing all low-income homes by 2031. A 2023 study commissioned by the Department of Commerce, conducted by HRNA Advisors and Firelands Workers United, entitled Washington State Low-Income Housing Energy Efficiency Needs Assessment, found that we would need to be working 14 to 18 times faster than we currently are to achieve that goal. Now, that's no agency or department or anybody's fault. That's simply the system we have right now. And this bill will enable us to move closer to our goals much more quickly. So we think it's a win for families, communities, agencies, taxpayers, and our power grid. And we urge this committee to support the bill.
Thank you so much for your testimony. I'd like to call up Ellen Carbert.
Thank you. Chair Shoemake and members of the committee, my name is Alan Carbert, and I am the Managing Director of the Weatherization Unit within the State Energy Office at the Department of Commerce. I want to thank Senator Hunt for sponsoring this bill and for the opportunity to speak on it. We are signed in as other today to provide technical context, given this bill contains fiscal impacts that are not accounted for in the governor's budget. The Weatherization Plus Health program has a strong track record of delivering energy savings, improving resident health and safety, and preserving affordable housing in Washington. This bill builds on those successes by increasing flexibility to more fully address community needs. It does so in two primary ways: allowing community-level eligibility rather than verifying each individual's household income, and by authorizing community-scale projects. Updating the program guidelines and statute would allow Commerce to use more sophisticated tools to determine eligibility. These tools could include the Washington Health Disparities Map, a tool that didn't exist when the Weatherization Plus Health program was first created. Tools like this would help identify where the need is greatest at a community level to improve outcomes and more efficiently deliver services to communities with significant energy, housing, and health disparities. Examples of community-scale projects could include privately owned low-income multifamily dwellings and known disadvantaged neighborhoods. Thank you for your consideration of this bill, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much for your testimony. I don't see any questions at this time. Caitlin, if you can hear me, go ahead. And Madam Chair, this will be the final testifier.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Shoemake and members of the committee. My name is Caitlin Crenn. I'm here representing Washington Conservation Action, a statewide policy and political voice for the environment for nearly 60 years, testifying today in strong support for SB5652. As John was mentioning earlier, Washington's 2021 state energy strategy identified the need to increase funding for low-income weatherization to address a minimum of 10% of eligible households annually as a must-do step to meet the challenges of climate change. However, the program currently serves fewer than 1% of these households each year. Over 375,000 Washington households living in poverty need weatherization services, but a tangle of administration limitations often gets in the way. We must ensure that all residents are included as our state transitions to a clean energy economy, which means drastically ramping up the scale of weatherization and innovating new ways to improve service delivery. This bill does exactly that. It would allow weatherization agencies to carry out larger community scale projects serving multiple homes. Larger projects will generate more competitive bids from contractors, lowering costs and helping attract those contractors to rural and remote areas. The bill will also allow agencies to deliver prioritized measures to communities facing greater environmental health disparities, housing vulnerability, pollution exposure, et cetera. Hundreds of thousands of Washington families are in urgent need of the services that the Weatherization Plus Health program provides. Our state urgently needs progress on reducing climate pollution from the built environment. This bill would support faster, cost-effective action towards both goals, and we urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. Madam Chair, 449 folks chose not to testify, 447 pro, con 2, other 0.
Excellent. Thank you so much. That concludes the hearing for 5223. With this, we will move to the executive session. We will not be taking action on 5975 and 5466 today. With that, the committee is entering executive session. Staff, will you please brief the bills?
Good morning, Kim Cushing, staff to the committee. So for the first bill on your agenda is Senate Bill 5982, an act relating to updating provisions for consumer-owned utilities, including port districts and affected market customers under the Clean Energy Transformation Act. The bill was heard Tuesday, January 13th. The bill amends the definition of consumer-owned utility to include port districts under CETA. It amends the definition of market customer under CETA to include non-residential consumers of electricity that purchase electricity from an an entity other than the utility subject to SETA or generate electricity for their own or their lease's consumption. It also directs the UTC to adopt rules to establish reporting requirements for affected market customers to demonstrate compliance with SETA and to enforce affected market customers' compliance. There is one proposed substitute offered by Senator Hunt, labeled A. It excludes from the definition of consumer-owned utility any PUD with only one retail electric customer in Washington, provided the customer remains the same as of January 1st, 2026, and the PUD continues to receive 100% of its electricity needs from the Bonneville Power Administration. It also excludes from the definition of affected market customer a non-residential customer of electric utility that prior to May 7th of 2019 generated electricity to meet less than 100% of its own needs and continues to consume electricity with the same or greater percentage of non-emitting electric generation and electricity from renewable resources for the same end uses. It directs Commerce to establish reporting requirements for port districts as consumer-owned utilities, but authorizes Commerce to waive the reporting requirements that do not pertain to the retail electric customers served by port districts. And then finally, it delays a consumer-owned utility performance reporting for port districts it moves it from July of 2026 to July 2030. So if there's no questions, I'll move to the next bill. The next bill on your list is Senate Bill 6050, an act relating to expanding the use of distributed energy resources. This bill was also heard Tuesday, January 13th. The bill establishes requirements and conditions for the use of portable solar generation devices and consumer-owned meter-mounted devices. There is one proposed substitute offered by Senator Leas, labeled B. It requires portable solar generation devices of any wattage and those coupled with storage to be certified by a specific underwriter's laboratory standard. It requires a customer to notify their electric utility prior to installing a portable generation device, and it authorizes an electric utility with fewer than 25,000 customers to prohibit portable solar generation devices. It requires that an installed meter-mounted device must not impede or interfere with advanced electric meters. It provides 180 days rather than 90 days for an electric utility with less than 25,000 customers to make an approval decision about a specific model of meter-mounted device for installation. And it authorizes an electric utility to remove a device not meeting the specific requirements. It authorizes an electric utility to inspect and maintain the point of common connection without notice for safety, maintenance, and power quality. And then it also requires, effective January 1st, 2029, the UTC to allow an electrical or natural gas company to invest in programs that achieve energy conservation and improve the efficiency of energy end use in single and multifamily rental housing. It directs the UTC to allow the company to earn a rate of return on the cost-effective investments over a duration of time that reduces the customer's energy burden and minimizes investments on the customer's bill. This portion of the bill does not go into effect until January of 2029, and it prohibits the UTC from incurring administrative costs until January of 2029. And then it does add intent language.
Okay, turning to Senate Bill 5965 concerning carryout bags. You heard this bill on January 14th. You have a substitute labeled C offered by Senator Shoemake. The proposed substitute makes the following changes. It lowers the fee on paper bags to 8 cents. It specifies that carryout bags provided by restaurants for off-site consumption are exempt, and it makes some technical changes to the definition of carryout bags. You have 3 amendments offered by Senator Banky. Amendment C1 strikes the prohibition on the sale and distribution of reusable carryout bags made of film plastic. It maintains the fee for reusable plastic carryout bags made of film plastic at 12 cents and increases that fee 2 cents every 2 years. It reinstates the penalty for non-compliant reusable plastic carryout bags with thicknesses greater than 4 mils, and requires that if a reusable film plastic bag is made of polypropylene, that the polypropylene contain 20% recycled content by July 1st of 2028, increasing to 40% recycled content by July 1st of 2030. Amendment C2 allows a compostable film bag to be made from potato starch. And Amendment C3 renews the reporting requirement within existing resources by the Department of Commerce to evaluate the effectiveness of the carryout bag law.
Next up, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Matt Shepard, County Steward, and staff. Senate Bill 6010 concerns tribal consultation conducted by the Energy Facility Site Evaluation Council, or FSEC. As a reminder, the bill exempts from the Open Public Meetings Act most government-to-government consultations between FSEC and federally recognized tribes during site certification. It also requires FSEC to provide a summary of consultation to the relevant tribe before submitting its report to the governor and allow the tribe to amend the summary or submit its own. You heard this bill on January 16th. There are 3 amendments. First, there is a proposed substitute labeled E offered by Senator Shoemake, which requires upon receipt of a site certification application, the FSEC chair and designated staff to offer consultation to the appropriate federally recognized tribe to seek ways to address issues of concern raised by such a tribe. And it also specifies that if the tribe requests to meet with all FSEC members, consultation must include as many members as possible with the goal of coordinating FSEC's full attendance. Second, there is an amendment to the proposed substitute labeled E1 offered by Senator Banky, which requires FSEC members to be informed of and given the opportunity to participate in tribal consultation and provides that consultation meeting details must be finalized within 90 days of offering consultation, but the meeting does not need to occur within that time frame. Third and finally, there's an amendment to the proposed substitute labeled E2, also offered by Senator Banky, which provides that attendance by a quorum of FSEC during consultation does not constitute an open public meeting if there is no adjudication between FSEC members regarding a site certification application, rather than if there is no deliberation between the FSEC members. It also permits certain representatives of the applicant, including legal representatives, to attend consultation, and it requires consultation to be recorded and exempted from the Open Public Meetings Act and the Public Records Act. And those are all the amendments on 6010.
Okay, turning to bill number 6 on your list, Senate Bill 5984, concerning artificial intelligence chatbots. You heard this bill on January 20th. The bill defines companion chatbots, establishes new requirements related to the use and disclosure regarding artificial intelligence chatbots, and provides for enforcement under the Consumer Protection Act. You have a proposed substitute labeled F, offered by Senator Wellman before you. The proposed substitute specifies that an AI companion chatbot means a system that does all of the following things: retains information on prior interactions for personalization, asks unprompted personal or emotion-based questions, and sustains ongoing communication on matters personal to the user. The proposed substitute clarifies that an AI chatbot does not include systems that do not create sustained relationship building or emotional simulation. It provides a definition for no's, eliminates the reasonable person standard related to the notification requirements, requires an operator if a person interacting with an artificial intelligence companion chatbot is seeking mental or physical health advice to issue a disclosure that the AI system is not a health professional, prohibits the chatbot from mimicking romantic partnership when interacting with a minor, modifies the notification requirement for minors to be provided every hour instead of every 3 hours, requires the operator to prohibit an AI companion chatbot from claiming to be human, and requires operators to publicly disclose required protocols on both mobile or web-based applications in addition to the website.
Next up is Senate Bill 60. Oh,
We have a question.
Okay.
So you mentioned there's an indication that the chatbot says that they're not a healthcare professional or reminds people. Is there anything in there that will refer people to a healthcare professional? Or, you know what I mean? Like,
No, the bill requires that if a person indicates suicidal ideation or that they are in mental health crisis, that a referral is made to crisis services, but it does not say anything about specific medical.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Next up, Senate Bill 6076, relating to streamlining consumer-owned utility procurement requirements. for clean energy generation, energy storage, transmission, and distribution projects until the 2045 carbon-free compliance date under CETA. The bill was heard Tuesday, January 20th. The bill increases public work contract thresholds for public utility districts for certain energy projects until January 2045. It allows electronic submission of bids under the Public Works procurement process for PUDs. It expands the range of items a PUD may purchase through a pre-approved vendor list process. It exempts competitive bidding for municipalities under certain conditions relating to energy generation and transmission until January of 2045. There is one proposed sub offered by Senator Banky labeled G. It clarifies that the competitive bidding requirements may be waived by the governing body of the municipality for purchases involving projects that are common facilities as described under RCW 5444020. It removes references to 3 other statutes that also describe common facilities.
Senate Bill 5652 relates to reducing environmental and health disparities in large port districts. As a reminder, you heard a proposed substitute to this bill, which establishes a recurring process by which strategies to mitigate aviation-related air quality and noise impacts are developed, reviewed, piloted, and broadly implemented. It also creates a work group to develop and regularly update a mitigation plan and also a grant program. It directs the state auditor to conduct a comprehensive audit of noise mitigation retrofits that were installed in communities near the Sea-Tac airport. There is a new proposed substitute labeled K, offered by Senator Shoemake, which extends the date of the state auditor's evaluation by 1 year from July 1st, 2028 to July 1st, 2029. It removes several provisions relating to the Port District Equity Fund and instead references the State Aircraft Noise and Air Quality Mitigation Account, which is created in a pending legislation, Senate Bill 6240. That bill is currently in Ways and Means. It directs the Department of Commerce to administer a mitigation grant program prioritizing the use of funds in the mitigation account instead of the Port District Equity Fund, and it makes other technical changes. Those are all the amendments. Thanks.
I don't see any questions, so thank you all for your very thorough briefings. We will break for caucus, Democrats and SHR 3, Republicans, and right here, wherever Banky wants you to go. All right, I call the committee back to order. We are still not taking action on 5975 and 5466. So we will begin with 5982. We have Senate Bill 5982 before us. There is a proposed substitute labeled A.
Thank you, Chair Shoemake. I move adoption of the proposed substitute.
Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
I move that the proposed substitute receive a due pass. Oh, do you want to call the? Yeah. I move that the proposed substitute receive a due pass recommendation be sent to the Rules Committee.
Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The bill has passed subject to signatures. We now have Senate Bill 6050 before us. There is a proposed substitute labeled B.
Madam Chair, I move adoption of the proposed substitute.
Is there any discussion?
Thank you, Chair Shoemake. This is a great bill that moves clean energy forward, but it's also a complicated bill. So we've got some great feedback from stakeholders that we've incorporated. Just this morning, I've seen some more notes with some more ideas, so we're going to keep working on it. Senator Short is my co-sponsor, and she promised to work with me on it a little bit too as we move forward. So this is not the final version, but I'm excited to sort of keep the process going with our deadline coming up. Thank you.
Awesome. You guys good? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Chair Shoemake, I move that the proposed substitute receive a due pass recommendation be sent to the Rules Committee.
Is there any discussion? Good bill, vote yes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The bill has passed subject to signatures. We have Senate Bill 5965 before us. There is a proposed substitute labeled C, which is now before us.
Chair Shoemake, I move the adoption of amendment labeled C1.
Do I speak?
C1, C2, C3?
Yeah,
to the
sorry.
substitute? It is to the proposed sub, so.
Yeah. So this is my amendment. Is it my amendment? No. Okay, you go ahead. That's yours. That's right.
So Amendment 1.
Yeah.
So C1 basically just removes prohibition on the flat bags, maintains the fee, increasing it 2 cents by 2 years, urging a yes vote.
I'm respectfully asking for a no vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay.
No.
Nay. So the amendment has not been adopted. We now move to Amendment C2.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a great amendment, working with our alternative industry that allows us by industry requests to utilize the bags for potatoes that actually use an innovation process that I think has an industrial symbiosis effect and leverages an idea that we could be a model for the nation and around the globe, urging a yes vote.
We agree, as one of my members said, anything that involves a potato, I'm a yes on. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. The amendment is adopted. We now move to C3.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This just aligns the requirement with Commerce to file the report to be effective by 2033, urging yes.
I'm going to ask for a no vote, and maybe we can keep talking about this. But today I'm going to ask for a no vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Nay. The chair thinks that the nays win and the amendment is not adopted. So is there any discussion on the amended bill?
I think I have to roll.
The amendment substitute. What do I have to do?
I move that amendment. Yeah, I move that the amendment be rolled into the new proposed substitute and that receive a due pass recommendation be sent to the Ways and Means Committee.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair. We just want to remind people, we want to keep plastic bags as a choice for consumers. We don't want to ban any. We want to keep the options alive. As we've seen the different options of being too big, too thin, right in the middle, I think we found a good sweet spot, and we want to continue to work with the chair and other committee members to see what we can do to continue this process. So looking forward to the continued discussion, urging a no vote today, try to get this back into the bill later as it moves on.
I am going to ask for an aye vote. I think it's a good bill. All right. All in favor say aye. 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 Opposed, nay. Nay. The bill has passed subject to signatures. We are not moving on 5975. We have Senate Bill 6010 before us. There is a proposed substitute labeled E, which is now before us.
Chair Schumick, I move the adoption of amendment labeled E1 and E2 to the proposed substitute.
So we first consider E1. Is there any discussion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just had concerns about timelines so we don't delay projects in the future. So this just allows the first meeting date within 90 days. We think this is appropriate enough time to go back to consultation, allow for that discussion, and still continue to move the project forward. We need to build things in the state of Washington. This continues that effort. Urging a yes vote.
I thank the ranking member for his work on this bill. I am unfortunately asking for a no vote. We just have some tricky pieces to figure out with these timelines. So all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. No. The amendment has not been adopted. E2. We will now move to E2.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is just to clarify the consultation and what it really means. When we're bringing them in as cultural sites and sacred sites, they understand it better. We're just looking at this to be recorded and then using that deliberation process to continue again to build things in our state, urging a yes vote.
Thank you very much. These are very sensitive discussions, and we would prefer not to adopt this amendment. Favor say, I'm asking for a no vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. No. The amendment is not adopted.
Chair Schumick, I move that the proposed second substitute receive a due pass recommendation be sent to the Rules Committee.
Is there any discussion? It's a good bill. Vote yes. All in favor say aye. 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 Opposed, nay. Nay. The bill has passed subject to signatures. All right, we now move to 5984. We have Senate Bill 5984 before us. There's a proposed substitute labeled F.
Chair Schumick, I move adoption of the proposed substitute.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. I move the proposed
I move that the proposed substitute receive a due pass recommendation be sent to the Rules Committee.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. The bill has passed subject to signatures.
We're a team up here.
Oh my goodness, so efficient. Now we are on 6076. We have Senate Bill 6076 before us. There is a proposed substitute labeled G.
Chair Schumake, I move adoption of the proposed substitute.
Is there any discussion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This was industry found out a couple of issues, tightening up the bill a little bit, just refining some definition there just to clean up. Urging a yes vote.
I agree. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Chair Schumake, I move that the proposed substitute receive a due pass recommendation be sent to the Rules Committee.
Is there any discussion? Good bill, vote yes. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The bill has passed subject to signatures. We now move to the final bill, 5652. We have Senate Bill 5652 before us. There is a proposed substitute labeled K.
I move adoption of the proposed substitute.
Is there any discussion? This just moves out some dates. Oh, yeah, so go ahead.
This is the port. I do have some concerns just about, as I've heard from the Port of Seattle, about the impacts of it, but I understand that there's other legislation that's pending in Ways and Means, and so I think it makes sense to allow Ways and Means to have all of the legislative vehicles to have a comprehensive conversation. I hope they engage with the Port of Seattle, so I will, as they work in progress, vote this out.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? All right, as we make is there any discussion? All in favor of the proposed substitute, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay.
I move that the proposed substitute receive a due pass recommendation and be sent to the Ways and Means Committee.
Is there any discussion? Good bill, vote yes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The bill has passed subject to signatures, and that concludes our executive session. And I don't have any more magic words to say for you, so we are adjourned. Oh, sign the boards.